So in today's video, we are detailing this brand new Nissan Rogue and we're doing a 2-year ceramic coating with no polishing. Yeah, you heard right. I'm not going to polish this vehicle at all. Now, before we start prepping and coating the paint, let's just take a quick look at it. Because once again, we didn't do any polishing. Are we worried about swirls? Well, there's no swirls to talk about here. There's no swirls to remove. There's nothing to polish. We're not worried about swirl removal. And even if I was polishing this, if this was like our regular coating service, I'm only polishing to prep. So it would be a very, very quick prep polish and that's it. Very light, very fast. You get around this in less than an hour, probably even quicker than that, more like 45 minutes. There's no swirls at all, even on the bottom portions. This paint is pretty much perfect. Again, it's pearl white, it's very forgiving. So we are not worried about swirls. The decontamination stage, the clay towel that we used, did not leave any type of marring, no weird marks on the paint, no scratches, no swirls, no straight lines, nothing. Because the soap we used was highly lubricant and the pre-wash method was so effective. That's why our procedure works so well. We don't have to worry about doubling back and going over and polishing things because we messed up on the first stages. It just doesn't happen anymore. We've refined that. So I have a nice short nap towel. I am really not a fan of super fluffy towels. They tend to drag more. They tend to leave lint more. And I don't know, I'm just not a fan of them. I prefer low nap, a little bit higher density towels. And these are some from the rag company that I really like. The yellow Kirkland towels are also a favorite, but short nap towels like this that are dense and soft, perfect for polish removal, for pretty much everything. I'm going to spray a couple of mists and kind of, you know, not saturate, but definitely cover the entire face of the towel. And just gently, in straight line motions or circular, doesn't matter, gently go over the paint with a light touch, no pressure. This stuff evaporates within a second. And even though I feel the tiniest amount of drag, but it's not because of the product necessarily, it is just the paint being so squeaky clean. The paint actually grabs to the touch, to my fingers. And now that I left oils like that, of course I'm gonna wipe it, but I can feel it's completely clean. So this process will go very quickly. I will also get all the way close up to the edge of the trim on the paint, of course, because some of that may have gotten onto the paint. Not a big deal. This will wipe it off because it's still fresh. You really don't even need 2 towels with this. Just one is enough because I'm not oversaturating it. Oh, I see some drips of water. Gotta make sure these mirrors, water always collects in the mirrors here. Yep, there it is. That's not good. Gotta make sure that's all dry. And just a few sprays per panel is all you need. You'll see it go on, and then you'll see it immediately evaporate. Now, you may have seen other detailers douse the paint with their panel preps. And again, I have found that to just be personal choice. In fact, one of my favorite detailers on YouTube, Jim White from White Details, does that. He saturates the panel and then wipes it. Am I gonna copy that? No, because I found that I really don't need to. I've done that before, but I found it to be a waste of product. And that's just for me. I'm not saying that he should change. I would never, ever in a million years go onto his channel and say, hey, don't do that to the panel, you're just wasting product. It's not my business to tell him what to do in his business. It would be completely in his right to tell me to shut up and mind my own business. When people write that type of stuff on our channel, I don't say, you know, shut up and mind your own business, but in so many words, I correct them. And if they continue to harass, deleted, you're gone. You don't need that here. That's the cool thing about detailing, is it is enjoyable. It's not enjoyable when you're doing a disaster vehicle and you didn't charge enough. That sucks. That's not good. That's not good for business. It looks good on YouTube, but you know, the majority of those guys doing those disaster details are not charging for them. They're doing it free because their channel is so big, they don't need a charge. They can do it for free. That's, to me, is not a real detailing business. That's a YouTube business. And it's a great YouTube business. A lot of new detailers get very confused because they see that and they think, yeah, disaster details are where the money is at. And no, they are not. Any real detailer can tell you that. There might be a few that actually do make their money from those types of disaster details, but very few and far in between. Oh man, more water. I gotta make sure this is all dry back here. These lights hold a lot of moisture. Oh, cute. Little jumping spider over here. Now the panel prep also works really well to prep all of your glass, obviously. It's a great glass cleaner. Now I'm not going to polish the windshield like I usually do because that's not included in this service. That's included in our premium coating service. So for the glass, I'm going to use AM Details Rain. I'm almost out of this stuff. I love this stuff. Application is just like Rain-X, and it's basically a Rain-X on steroids. It's stronger, and of course it lasts longer, but it's awesome, awesome stuff, and very, very easy to use. And you apply it the same way as Rain-X. Actually, it removes easier. And I just go in long, straight lines because it's easier for me to do that. Because my arms are long and I can do that. And I apply this like I apply a glass coating, basically. At least the application part of it. Removal is a little different. I'll just let it sit on here as I coat the paint. And then I'll come back with a little bit of the AM Details glass cleaner because it works well. It's formulated well to remove this. You can use a regular glass cleaner too. Just don't use anything too strong. Or just a damp towel and then a dry towel. Just regular water will also work. So it's coating application time. So using G-Technic C1, I'm applying it just like I apply EXO or Crystal Serum Light. I have 2 towels, one for my initial wipe, which will be yellow, and blue, my final wipe. Application is pretty straightforward. It applies, again, just like the other coatings. Glides on very smooth, and this does do, it looks like more of like a rainbow effect than the typical flashing that Crystal Serum Light does and all the other coatings. A little bit more of a rainbow effect. It's difficult to see on white, and that's why you do need your lights, but you can kind of see it in the flat light a little bit, and maybe it's a little difficult to pick up on. But you can definitely see the difference in clarity. That's the clear paint, and there the coating is sitting and curing. And it can sit on there for a little bit, but again, if you're in a hot and humid climate, you don't want to let this just sit there forever. I'm giving it maybe 30-60 seconds. Now it's time to wipe it off. And the application is extremely easy. It's very, very slick also. So it's really nice stuff. Very easy to work with. So first wipe, second wipe, wow, and I can feel the slickness under the towel. Beautiful stuff, awesome. This is the coating that really, started it all with them. I don't know if it's exactly the first coating, but it's definitely the first one that I saw them use years and years ago when I started applying coatings, and it's an awesome, awesome coating. It's so slick. So once it's primed, I don't have to put as much. That's about it. I always just butterfly it and spread it out. And I'll just go and box out a section here and just overlap a little bit. You don't have to go extremely slow with these coatings. You can go in circular motions if you like. It's kind of personal preference. And you don't always have to cross-hatch. You don't always. As long as you're getting coverage, you can just go over it twice in the same up and down or across pattern, that whatever you like. That will ensure that you're getting proper coverage. You can also kind of quicken up the drying process by just waving your towel, and it just kind of moves the air around and helps it evaporate a little bit faster. But heat and humidity will definitely cure these faster, and it will make them flash away faster also. So easy application. You can blast through a vehicle pretty quickly. And because I have so many overhead lights, I don't need a hand light yet until I get to the side panels. That's when I have the hardest time seeing, because I don't really have lights that go down on the bottom sections. Everything's up high. So I will need a light for the sides. One other tip is you don't want the tip of the bottle here hitting the microfiber. Don't mush it into it. I don't do that. I let it drip into it because you still might have a little bit of crustiness around the tip here. Even though I've cleaned it as best as I can, still precautionary, and I don't just touch the applicator at all with the bottle. It's the way I've always done it, and I have done it before the other way when I was starting out, and I did get some crystals in the applicator, and yeah, that kind of ruined things. This hood was repainted, I can tell. You know how I can tell? I'll show you in a bit. And when wiping, make sure to go over all of the edges by a couple of inches, by at least 4 to 6 inches or so. That way you make sure that any coating that may have been pushed into those areas has been wiped up. So go around all of the perimeter. There. Beautiful. Now I'm seeing a lot of fellow detailers, real detailers, and when I mean real detailers, these are guys who are actually out there every single day, and I'm seeing a lot of mobile guys doing this, and I really give credit to my fellow mobile detailers because that's how we started. You see us now working in this nice garage, but that is not how we started. Go back in our earlier videos, you'll see what I mean. We struggled mobile detailing. It was rough at times. But I see my fellow mobile detailers applying coatings outdoors. I applaud you. For me, I never wanted to do that. It's just my thing because I just didn't have the confidence to feel that I was doing a good enough job doing it outdoors, because it is risky. But I see my detailers doing it all the time. And they're using Crystal Serum Light outdoors and EXO. They're using coatings that aren't necessarily formulated to work outdoors. The Geon coatings now are, but the other ones not really. But I see them being used, and man, I have to give credit to you guys. That's risky, but you are also killing it. And that is incredible. Guys, keep on doing it. And I love that they preach the same methods that we have been teaching for years. And especially with ceramic coatings, they're teaching basic logic and kind of cutting through all of the ridiculous stuff that we've seen over the years when it comes to coatings. A lot of high-end shops offer them, yes, but you do know that a lot of those high-end shops are charging a ton of money because they have overhead, because they have employees, they have a lot of people counting on them, and they do charge a lot. And yes, they do great services. A lot of the shops do, but they also try to belittle the little guy and discredit the little guy because they're not a shop, and saying that they shouldn't be applying coatings outdoors. I've never said that you shouldn't do that or you never can do that. I never said that. I said I don't do it because of the risks and the variables and all of that. That's my fear. But that's just me personally. I didn't want to risk that, so I never did. I only started doing coatings when I was able to have a garage. So for me, it's just different. But I applaud those guys who are able to do it now mobile, and they are killing it. So congratulations, guys. Keep on doing that and keep preaching and pushing the facts, the logical side of detailing, and not that like elitist, weird obsession side where they're doing things arbitrarily and then discrediting other detailers for not following their steps, saying that it's wrong because it's not. Once again, detailing is supposed to be enjoyable, but also profitable. You have to balance those things. You cannot be an OCD obsessed detailer and think that you're going to make a ton of money, because you may or may not, depending on your area. But it depends on your area. There's so many variables, guys. You can't just dogmatically say this or that. No, detailing is very fluid, and it always depends on your area, your demographic, your customer base. That's really what it depends on. Now, what about paint correction before coatings. You hear a lot of that, and that is such a big debate among the detailing community. And you know what? It really shouldn't be, because anyone who has half a brain can understand and just do some research and school themselves and understand swirls are simply imperfections in the paint. Those little tiny scratches are simply refracting light. That's all they're doing. They are not going to inhibit this type of a nano protection coating that's bonding on a molecular level to the clear coat. So with those little swirls in the clear coat, it's just little tiny micro scratches in the clear coat. The coating doesn't care about that. The coating will go right over it, fill it a little bit, and go right over it and create that barrier and link with the clear coat. The swirls do absolutely nothing to the coating. It doesn't affect it one bit. What a lot of these elitist detailers don't like is the fact that the vehicle doesn't look its best. That's where the OCD obsession comes from, and that is detrimental to a detailing business. Not necessarily to the detailing community in itself, because we all love to see completely swirl-free glossy paint. That's awesome. I mean, that is like the goal, but does every customer want that? Can every customer pay for that? No. No. That's the realistic, logical standpoint. No, not every customer can afford that. And especially for daily drivers, they don't care. That vehicle is going to get swirled up again. I still get comments to this day when we do a black vehicle, because you see it, you see the swirls, and we do our paint enhancement, and we get 50 to 75%, and they're just little scratches, little things still left in the paint. And it blows their minds, and they say, I would never do that, I would give it a full paint correction. So here's some questions to think about. For people who say that, for one, are you a detailing business? Two, how much are you charging that person? Are you doing a paint correction every single time, whether the customer wants it or is paying for it or not?
Huh?
Because if you can't let that go and you're doing paint corrections every single time because you just think that you should and you can't let it go, is your customer paying that amount of money that you should be charging for that? Because if they aren't, why are you polishing that paint to perfection? You're not a business at that point. You're just an obsessed person, and you're not doing it for your customer's benefit, because again, the customer might be happy that, oh yeah, their paint looks good, but they're not going to see those swirls like you think you're seeing those swirls. Some customers do, don't get me wrong, but that's only the customer that says, I want the swirls removed. I see them, I know what swirls are, I want them removed from the paint, and then I want it coated with the best coating, and so on and so forth. If you get a customer like that, that's when you can just let your obsession and OCD run wild. Do whatever you want, and you better charge appropriately for it. Because if you don't, that's just stupid business. Anyone can tell you that. It's pure stupidity. So for my detailers who are worried about, should I do a full paint correction or not when I'm doing ceramic coatings? Look guys, there's plenty of information out there. Do your research. I already have, and I understand the business very, very well. And I have plenty of customers who don't care about paint corrections. I maybe do a handful of actual paint corrections, 90+%, a handful of times a year. That tells you in my demographic, people just don't care about that as much. They want 50%, and a lot of them, 50% to them is like 100%, because they don't see the other defects. They just see incredible clarity. They see such a dramatic change in the paint, it blows their mind. If you can prove to me, I need you to do this on multiple vehicles, black vehicles, multiple customers, different types of coatings, and prove to me that a coating won't bond to swirled up paint. Prove it, I challenge you, because the science behind it will get you every time. So as you can see, I'm simply talking and applying this coating easily. I'm not even worried about it staying on the paint for too long or flash points or all that, type of stuff that a lot of people worry about, and they're like, when should I wipe it off? Please don't overthink that. Most of the coatings in the market now, I would say all of the modern coatings on the market are this easy to apply. It does not take a lot of effort at all. All you're doing is keeping an eye on the coating. That's all. And if you don't really see a reaction within 30, 60 seconds, then it's okay, you can wipe it off. You don't have to see some sort of a reaction every single time on every single coating. There are some coatings that just don't flash immediately, but they're still bonding. They're still fine. After 60 seconds or so, you're fine. Depends on your ambient temperature. It's not super hot and humid today, and I have the AC going, so it's really not too bad in here. I can give this plenty of time, and I'm not worried at all. It wipes off nice and slick with no issues at all. So I'm not worried that the flash time is gonna ruin anything. This coating is very, very easy to apply. G-Technic actually sells the warranty. When you are an accredited detailer with them, you get a warranty card for this coating, and they say it's a 5-year coating. It's very interesting. Not a lot of people know that. Also means that not a lot of people do their research and they don't ask the appropriate questions. So this light works incredibly well. So you can see that line right there? It gives you this broad light. I move it around like this because when you move it around like this, your eye will catch any little high spots on the paint. So it's good to do that. Move the light around and it will catch any of these weird little high spots around these curves and shadows and stuff, and it helps you see them, helps you spot them. A light like this is awesome. This type of a flat, broad light. The spotlights can kind of help sometimes with smearing. This type of light really helps with high spots, especially on white paint. It can be difficult to see things. We're looking good. So there we have it, friends. This thing is now done. And it took us about 3-ish hours or so. We started around 9:30-ish or so. It's pretty much done. I still have to just clean the windshield and, touch up the glass and a few other little things, and that's pretty much it. And the paint does look incredible. It's very, very glossy. So it comes down to explaining to your customers what you can offer. This is the price, this is what I do, this is what I don't do, are you okay with that? And you can add things on as you see fit to really customize a service for your customer. Don't be locked into only doing full paint corrections and full-blown professional coatings if that's not what your customer base is. You gotta start somewhere, and sometimes, even with our business, we've been in business a long time, offering a kind of a discounted coating service like this, some customers just love it. I have to tell you, $800 in about 3 hours. We're done for the day. It's just curing now for the rest of the day and into tomorrow. Do you think that's good profits? Is that good profits? Yeah, I'm gonna say so. You can argue the case if you want, but for us, that's incredible. So I might be actually putting this service on our website as an actual service that you can book. That way customers can kind of see the difference, and they may ask, hey, what's the difference between the $800 and the $1,200 or the $1,500? That's when I can go into explaining it and maybe sell them the cheaper service because that's just what they need and that's what they want, and they don't want the more expensive service. That might actually increase our sales on these types of services, and it's way easier for us. Now remember I said that this hood was repainted, and I was going to show you how I know that. Here's how I know it. Now I had to put the towel there to really focus on it, but do you see that? That right there is called a fisheye. That is a little grease particle or something that is actually rejecting the clear coat. So it's a little divot in the paint. That really should have been wet sanded out and maybe resprayed, but it wasn't. And there's a few of these spots on here that I see on the hood, and it's kind of a telltale sign that it was repainted. Sometimes you see that from factory, but I see other things in the hood here. It's really hard to see in the light. I see other things in the hood that tell me that it was repainted at some point in its life, and it may not be on any reports or anything. Sometimes the dealers just do it. Sometimes the dealers just do it, and they don't list it, of course, because they don't want that on a record. But, as an experienced detailer, I see that stuff right away. So I'm using the AM Details glass cleaner. Just a mist onto your towel. It will clean this up with no problem. Take care of the rest of the residue. Leaving this on for a longer period of time, it just ensures that it bonds. So I just kind of leave it on there. Work around the vehicle, come back and wipe it off later. Now with everything done, everything is now coated and it just needs to basically sit overnight. What you can do with this coating is apply a topper if you so choose. And what I mean by a topper is a spray topper. So their C2V3 is basically their ceramic sealant. That can be applied right on top of this coating after 4 hours. So you can either do it that day after 4 hours, or I like to wait till the next day and then just put a quick application on. This is a super light application. In fact, you can even water this down 1-to-1 and just mist it onto the towel and gently go over everything. It can go over glass, plastic, paint, it doesn't matter. Give it 4 hours or overnight, and you can apply this as a second layer. What I have noticed with the C1 is after now about an hour, the paint actually just feels a little grabby. So it felt good under the towel when applying it and removing it or leveling it. It actually has a more grabby feel to it. That's, not necessarily a bad thing. It's just the characteristics of some coatings. And this is the, one G-Technic coating that, actually this is the only G-Technic coating that I've noticed that does this. So what this will do is add the slickness part of it, if that's something that you want to add to it. It's totally an option. It's up to you. Will it boost the durability? Not really. This does need 7 days to cure before you wash it. So tell your customer, this needs to be untouched for 7 days. It can get wet. After 12 to 24 hours, it can get wet, get rained on. It can even get slightly dirty from road grime. But no other chemicals, no washing at all for 7 days. That gives the time for the coating to cure completely. Then you can go ahead and wash it per usual and start doing your maintenance washes on it. But that's very important to tell your customer. Now, this entire vehicle only took that much coating, half a bottle exactly. Actually, maybe a little less because the bottle's not full all the way up to the top. It's usually like around this line here. I can actually get away with doing 2 vehicles with 1 bottle, and this is a 30 ml bottle. Usually a 50 ml bottle, I can get maybe like 2.5 vehicles, until I'm cracking open a new bottle on, the 3rd vehicle. This is very cost effective. This coating is not expensive. It's very easy to apply, and I usually will sell it as a 2 to potentially 5 year coating on garage vehicles. Yeah, you'll get 5 years out of this. On a daily driver that stays outdoors and not really washed properly, maybe 2+ years. Maybe you can get more out of it. Yeah, there's so many variables. If you ever wondered about this coating, give it a try. It's one of G-Technic's first coatings that really kind of made it big, and it's still a very good, viable option. So with this one done, if you guys have any questions, let me know down below. Once again, if you are enjoying these longer videos, let me know. Make sure to subscribe and click that bell so you don't miss stuff, because I am going to make longer videos. I want you guys to sit back and relax and enjoy these videos and absorb it. Take it all in. I'm done with short videos that are just there to kind of entertain. It's more like a shock and awe or this flashy, trendy, viral type of thing. I'm not into that. I don't even like watching those types of videos. They annoy me because when I want to get information, I can't get it. I have to ask follow-up questions that could have been explained in the video. Forget that. I'm going back to the way I used to do things, doing proper long-form videos that teach. So if you like that, stick around. If you don't, you can unsubscribe. I want followers on here that are actually wanting to enjoy these longer form videos and to actually learn, to get information. Because if you watch these videos all the way through, most of your questions are going to be answered. And again, if you still have questions, then comment down below and maybe I can put those in the next videos. That's really what I want to do, is answer those questions in the following videos. Because that's the best way to learn, is to take the time and absorb what you're watching and listening to. So if that's what you're into, then subscribe and stick around. If not, we'll see ya.